Okay, Google, how do you spell memorial?
Memorial is spelled M-E-M-O-R-I-A-L.
Okay, Google, how do you spell universal?
Universal is spelled U-N-I-V-E-R-S-A-L.
Well, welcome to another Memphis Monday 330. Um, isn't that amazing? Uh, we got this little device we carry around in our pocket. We call anybody in the world on it. We can download information. We have to type it in. We can just talk to it. I'm a geezer, so this is, you know, I'm still living back in the days of party lines and party telephone lines and 2 channels on your TV. But anyway, today I was working on a big project. We had a big project last week, and now I got a big project this week, and I'm getting behind. So this week we're going to just do a couple of smaller projects so I can so I can keep the streak up of 330 straight days. So if you ever wonder why sometimes we have big projects and sometimes we have small projects, it's because in order to get a project out every week, sometimes projects have to be small. And today we're going to do a pet memorial, and the deal is I can't say I can't say things like cross or funeral or pet cemetery or anything like that on your video will get demonetized. I built a pet casket and the video got demonetized immediately. You put it in appeal and all that, but nobody ever reads it, nobody ever looks at the video. It's all done by robots, so no intelligence ever looked at it. Then if you have time, we're going to do a universal plug that I'm going to be using to plug up a hole in my bird bath. But you can use it I call it universal because you can use it anywhere. You can use it on gas cans, and I'll show you that, this and that. Well, let's knock off the chit chat and get to work. So what we're doing is, for our pet memorials, really what we're going to be doing is making a cross, and that's not as easy as you think it is. Well, building it is actually as easy as you think it is, but there's a couple of things you need to remember. The cross is going to look goofy, if it's not the right proportion. If it's real long, and like that. Well, that's not what you see as a cross, or like that, or whatever. The proportions have to be right. Let me show you what those proportions are. It's basically a line, and you divide that line into 3 sections. Then this distance right here becomes that leg and that leg. So the proportions you want are 1, 1, and 1, 1/3, and then this here is also 1. So this distance, so this would be a square. Okay? Now, next thing to worry about is a break in the thing. When you want to, other crosses I've made, I've basically made the cross piece and put a lap joint in here like this, and then the down piece the vertical piece, put a lap joint in here, and then you just lap those two over. Well, that makes that real thin right there, and then what happens is somebody goes to put this thing in the ground and they press down. Your natural tendency is to grab that thing and push it down like that, and that's could tend to break this right here. So we're going to try a different design today. So instead of using that lap joint, I'm going to put the cross piece as a single. The horizontal piece, it'll be a single piece of wood, and then the lower vertical piece be like that, and it'll just be attached, you know, maybe with dowels here, and then I'll put the upper vertical piece, put it in here with dowels also. That way when somebody presses down on the outside of it, it won't break across here. Imagine how hot it is in South Carolina in August, and you'll understand why I had that air conditioner going. Okay, and here's another tip. When you build a cross, if you get asked to build a cross, don't build it where you know, just make it extra long and then bury it in the ground, because it's, you know, it's doesn't work very well. What I do is I take a metal rod and put it in the bottom, attach it with epoxy, you know, cut it off at an appropriate length, and then you can just push the cross right down to the hilt of the vertical piece there, and the proportions will be right, and will be anchored in the ground with a with the rod. Okay, let's get to building. Incidentally, this is the bigger project I'm working on. It's a quilt display case, and it's got glass in it, and base and doors and all kinds of stuff, and so it's taking up some time. But since we're doing previews of coming attractions, this is kind of what it's going to look like. I'm basically copying it, except I'm putting different legs on it. I don't like these little ball legs. Here's the markers that I've made for my friend for some other animals. What I'm looking for now is I want to make sure that we don't make our cross any bigger or smaller than these other ones. We don't want it to stand out. So what I've done here is taken my final height, which I want to be 2 feet, and then taken the thickness of my stock into consideration. I've figured out the dimensions for the vertical and horizontal pieces. So now I can, this is my top vertical piece, our horizontal piece, and my bottom vertical. They'll go together like this. I think I'll hold them together with one large dowel right through the center. What I need to do now is round over all the edges. Let's do that. I've decided to go with all mechanical fasteners. I'm not going to use any glue or anything like that. I've got two 3-inch deck screws that go into the bottom vertical member. Then I'm going to screw this double lag bolt into it. Then I'll take this top vertical member and I'll put a hole in there, and it'll screw down onto this. I have no idea if it'll work, but let's give it a try. Now, of course, it's kind of important that I get this hole centered. And it doesn't help that I've already rounded this over so I can't even find the corners. Okay, to get this hole started where I want it, I'm going to drill a pilot hole. Now I'll drill my regular hole. Now you're probably thinking there's no way that hole is plumb in this thing, and this thing's going to be cattywampus on here. And you know what I say to you? You're probably right. This is my practice piece. I drilled a hole, perfect diameter, down into this scrap here, and then I'm going to take this threaded rod. I'm not going to use, I was going to use epoxy, but I think I'm just going to thread it right into the hole and back it up with some super glue. Okay, my theory is I'm gonna put some super glue down in the hole and thread my threaded rod down in there. That's a theory anyway. Well, the next thing we're going to work on is a plug for this bird bath here. It's a pretty neat bird bath, but the problem with it is you can't really put any chemicals in it because you want the bird to be able to use it. But it gets, the water gets mossy and dirty. So what I did is I drilled some holes into the concrete and put some wooden dowels in there, which I'm having trouble getting out because they're red oak. And now See, I'm draining the water out of it. And I can use this steel bowl here. If it's choppy, clean it up a little bit. Now I can leave this thing to dry out, and once it dries out, that'll kill all the moss, and I can kind of start over. But these are the plugs that I want to make fancier versions where I don't have to reach underwater to get to them, and let's go do that. I went ahead and put some paint on that cross, and we'll go take a look at that in a little while. This is the kind of plug we want to make, and I'm making a big deal about it because it's very strong. What it is a dowel that runs through this cross handle here all the way through, but then it has a hole all the way through the dowel and the handle, a hole through there, and then a dowel. You put a dowel in there, so this makes a very strong handle, and that's the kind of handles we want to make for our bird bath. Here are the two handles. I've got the center line marked, and then these handles will go in a hole all the way through. The trick now is to find a drill bit that's exactly this size. Always be careful when using a drill press. You know, these things are geared down and they're putting out a lot of torque. So you really need to pin your work down to where it doesn't spin around if the drill bit gets hung up, which it will almost always. So now these things have this hole down through there. It's nice and plumb, and these dowels fit right in there. Okay, I'm putting that dowel, that cross dowel in now. All right, here's our new plugs. They got the oak, this red oak, which will swell into the hole. This is hard maple. Got a beech dowel that goes through the oak, and the main plug here goes all the way through the hard maple. Comes out over here. Okay, it goes in the hole, and give it a little tap. That might have been a mistake. filling it up and looking for leaks. I can already tell it's leaking. Well, I think our cross is about done. Just putting another coat of paint on it. Well, it does it for Memphis Monday 330. Today we made a little marker for a beloved pet of my neighbors, and I think the takeaways, I think that might have been the first time I ever showed you the applications of a double lag bolt. You know, everybody's used lag bolts, but there are lag bolts that have a lag on either side, either end, and you can screw boards going in both ways. I could have actually taken that lag bolt, put it all the way through the horizontal ray, and then taken the two vertical rays and screwed them together and pinched that horizontal ray together. I didn't do it that way, but I could have. And we also worked on some, I'm calling universal plugs. I use those wooden plugs on my gas tanks and wherever, you know, those modern gas tanks are worthless. I tear all that stuff off and put a wooden plug in there. I don't think these we made for the bird bath are going to work. I think they're too small, but you got the idea. You got to make that handle extra tough because they're going to be pounding on it.